Hello, I'm Ryan Clark from the Port Coquitlam Sports Alliance, and we're here to bring you insight into the world of sports locally here in our region. Today we have from TC North Basketball, the leaders of this academy, Tony Scott. Tony, welcome.
Thank
and
you.
Don Van Os, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Gentlemen, let's get right to it. You're tasked here. You've built this academy up new this last year and a half. We've had a strong basketball reputation in this area. How are you going to identify talent? What do you have to get out of the players to get them up to that top varsity level so we can continue to challenge for provincial championships?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is make sure we get them to compete and understand what competing is at a very early age in their life. For a long time, we've had kind of passive type training programs. We're about really getting the kids to compete and develop their skills as much as possible.
Sure, that makes sense.
And gaining a knowledge of the game, trying to get more experience, putting them in situations that gives them an opportunity to compete at the highest level. We like to take our kids down to the States and compete against what we consider where basketball is at a real hotbed.
So when I'm a parent and I'm bringing my young kids to you, right from an elementary or middle school, because obviously you want to get them ready for a high school varsity so we can challenge for provincial titles, what are the skills that you're going to try to get them? I heard competition, and you're going to get them a lot of play elsewhere. What are the fundamentals that you stress that are essential for us to succeed?
Kids got to be coachable. Kids got to be able to take instruction. Kids got to be able to understand that to play at a high level, they got to understand that you've got to be allowed to be coached, and sometimes that's not pleasant for them. Sometimes they're not used to being told how to do it, and sometimes they're not used to being taken with the same type of intensity that we're pushing them to have. I mean, with our experience and where we've been, we know what it takes.
Yeah. I think a lot of time we talk about getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Everyone's comfortable doing something they can do well.
Sure.
We want you to get outside of that so you can explore other things that you might be capable of doing in the future or maybe immediately. But you need to get out of that comfort zone. We need to get you feeling that I'll challenge, I'll try anything to allow myself to develop in my skill sets.
And I'm sure you guys are working both equally with both girls and boys programs.
Well, we like to try and get more girls. That's been one of our big crunches, that we try to get girls involved, but we never have the volume, the numbers. There seems to be other programs that have been existed and involved in really getting a lot of the girls, and they're doing a great job. So we're not able to get that volume we really need.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guys that are doing a great job in the local area, and Mike Karkner and Paul Langford, Mike Karkner at Poco Galaxy, and Paul runs his Jay Boggs program.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So tell me, who are the powerhouse programs right now? You'll always see teams that have a year blip here or there that excel, but who are the stalwarts? Who are the ones that we can count on to watch year in and year out of the strength of the Tri-Cities that can challenge for provincial titles?
Well, I think we know that for the boys, it's always been Terry Fox. They've been up there. They've been well established. They've had programs for a long time. You have another program like Heritage Woods. They're starting to come up and be consistently in there. I mean, for the girls, the number one program is Riverside, for sure. You have Charles Best, that's had a few years running. You had another program like Glen Eagles, been around for a long time. So there are programs that are up there consistently, but Fraser Valley is a tough conference.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
It's a very tough conference, right?
Yeah. Every year, the top 8. Last year, for example, 7 of the top 8 are from the Fraser Valley. It's so. You're talking about programs that have to compete against the highest level every year just to get to the BCs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What players should we be maybe keeping around? Because now the season's getting underway, it's just getting going, but who are some players that we should be watching for?
I like the guard up at Port Moody, boys team, Cato Cunningham. He's a great little player, great passer, can shoot the ball. He's someone I think that, and I think he's a guy that I think some post-secondary schools will be looking at.
Yeah, you've got Sarah Knowles at Glen Eagle, who's going to be probably one of the top kids in our area.
Kendra Sands up at
unbelievable.
Charles Best,
Yeah.
another girl that definitely will play at the next level.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about when you're talking about some of the players to look for. Players that will play at the next level. I think Terry Fox, Josiah, Massandra, who just is so committed to being a great player, and it shows. And I think he's going to be playing at the next level.
What do you think it's going to take to get our players here in this district, in this region, to really move forward into the high levels of post-secondary, whether that be at the CAS and Canadian university level or into the NCAA down in the U.S.? What's it going to take? You're running a basketball academy that's developing.
Yeah.
I hear competition. What are those things? What are you going to need to drive? Because we want to see more and more players pushing on to post-secondary.
I think one thing that we're doing, and this is what basketball's going in a direction right now where it seems like a lot of clubs are constantly getting teams to play 70, 80 games a year. And to me, that's just not the direction. Kids have to be better skilled. They have to have better skill development.
So before you throw them out into competition, get the deep...
What's happening is, I mean, think about it this way. Here's a kid that goes and plays a 40-minute game, and let's assume that both teams get the ball equally. So that's 20 minutes your team has the ball. You're on a team of 10 players, so that means you're on the floor for 10 minutes. And most coaches like their point guard to have the ball. So on a 40-minute game, you are fighting for the ball for 1 minute. You can't develop that way. Our academy, what we want to do is we want balls in the hands of kids. And we're going to push, and we're going to have a variety of, I mean, tons of different drills, but it's all going to be about skill development, then put them in competitive situations in that skill development that we're trying to bring about.
Now, I know you guys mostly train out of Pitt River, and as well you have other gyms around the Tri-Cities.
Right.
What can parents do? So if I'm a parent of young kids, what can I do to help my kids out? Okay, obviously I have them in the academy and they're going to play varsity ball. Is there anything they can be doing off on their own time that's going to help them out?
Well, I think all the skills you've been taught
Yeah.
is encourage them. Maybe go out with your son or daughter and just play and go through a lot of parents are sitting in watching practices.
Yeah.
So as
they
they
can pick
watch
that
the
up.
practice, they can pick up stuff and reinforce what we're doing and spend the time. This is good family time, good connection time.
Absolutely.
Where
And
they can go
also,
and do those
as
things.
a
you know?
parent, sit down and watch basketball with them. You can learn a ton from watching NCAA basketball, NBA basketball.
plenty on TV.
Sit down, enjoy it. It's entertaining, and it's something that you share as a family.
I think you're absolutely right. You know, you always talk to young athletes and say, do you actually watch the sport on TV? Great that you play it, but how much do you watch it? That's always a good question. That'll always tell you how interested they are as a player if they're watching. And that's a great time, as I agree, for family as well. So where do you see this going? You've just started the academy this last year. Where do you see it moving on to as you grow and evolve over the next few years?
I think one of the things I want to make sure we do is as we grow is making sure we have good coaches. We're trying to get young coaches involved. So former players, all right, so they can help these younger kids progress at a faster rate than they did, all right, and being involved and being connected, because you know I'm one of the younger guys to a certain degree, but I mean the connection of me with some of the players is the fact that they see that I can do some things that maybe one of our older coaches cannot do. Doesn't mean that they have less knowledge. They probably have greater knowledge than me, but they just get a little bit more connected. So if we can get younger people involved in coaching and having them develop that connection, they can help these younger kids aspire to higher heights, in my mind. Right? And I think the other thing is, for our program, we talk about having good ratio time practices. I mean, like we go, like, you know, we're spending about maybe 8 to 10 hours a week with our kids. All right, that's a lot of time. It's not enough, but it's a lot more than some other programs you decide, well, we're going to go play all these games. Right, so time and practice, you know, you've got to get the repetition in.
Sure, absolutely.
And I mean, we're going to try and do some things in our club that that will account for, like you talk about, what we can do. We're going to try and do some stuff like a 3-on-3 league. That way, kids got to play.
That'd be exciting for
and
kids.
it's
Locally
exciting.
for kids, that's easy
it's
access
fun,
to go play. Absolutely.
And they're gonna have the ball all the time.
That's
right?
great.
And then you're asking about parents too, and I think that the other thing that we always never want to lose sight of, the fact is that to play at the next level, you got to have academics, and never lose sight of the fact that your education is your number one priority, probably your family, your education, and that's crucial.
That's good stuff. Gentlemen, best of luck with TC North Basketball Academy. Wish you great success. Thank you for joining us today. Tony, thank you very much for being here. Don, thank you very much for being here. I'm Ryan Clark from the Port Coquitlam Sports Alliance, giving you insight into the local world of sports. Thanks for joining us today here on Tri-Cities Community TV.